The Bears are no longer building from scratch, and that changes everything about how we approach April. Welcome to Bears News Fan Report, where you get the most up-to-date news, insider analysis, and all the rumors surrounding our beloved Chicago Bears. I'm here to break down what's happening in the war room, and trust me, the direction this organization is heading should have every single one of us excited about the future. Something fundamental has shifted in Hollis Hall, and it's not just about adding pieces anymore. We've moved past the foundation stage. We're not patching holes or hoping developmental projects pan out. We're reinforcing a roster that's already taken tangible shape, and with postseason football on the horizon, the focus is now on premium positions, strategic depth, and making sure we're insulated against any setbacks that could derail what we're building here. Ryan Poles has been methodical in his approach since taking over, and you can see the vision coming together. We have elite talent on offense, we've got playmakers on defense, and now it's about adding the right complementary pieces that can elevate this team from playoff contender to legitimate championship threat. And when I look at where we're heading into the 2026 draft, I see a front office that understands exactly what this roster needs to take the next step. Let me paint the picture for you. We're talking about a draft class that could address multiple areas of need while also taking some calculated risks on high upside talent. The kind of draft that doesn't just fill roster spots, but actually moves the needle in terms of our ceiling as a football team. And while there are several names that keep coming up in mock drafts and scouting circles, there's one particular prospect that I think represents exactly the kind of gamble this organization should be willing to take in the later rounds. But before we get there, let's talk about the big picture strategy. If the Bears are picking around 25 in the first round, that tells you everything you need to know about where this team is headed. We're winning games, we're competing in a tough division, and we're building something sustainable. That first-round pick isn't about finding a savior. It's about adding another high-level starter to an already competitive roster. The offensive line remains a priority, and it should. We've seen what happens when you don't protect your quarterback, and with the investment we've made in our signal caller, keeping him upright and giving him time to operate is non-negotiable. Left tackle has been a revolving door for too long, and while we've got some young pieces trying to develop, bringing in someone who can step in and anchor that blind side from day one would be massive for our offense. But here's where it gets interesting for me, and here's where I think Poles is going to show his ability to find value throughout the draft. Because while everyone focuses on those first and second round picks, the teams that consistently win are the ones who hit on day 3 selections. The teams that find contributors in rounds 4 through 7. The teams that identify raw talent with elite physical traits and develop them into impact players. And that brings me to the defensive side of the ball, specifically our pass rush. We've made strides in generating pressure, but in today's NFL, you can never have too many guys who can get after the quarterback. You need waves of fresh bodies, you need different skill sets, and you need developmental projects who might take a year or two but have the ceiling to become legitimate weapons once everything clicks. Now, I've been studying this draft class extensively, watching tape, talking to people who know the college game inside and out, and there's a name that keeps popping up as a late-round flyer with intriguing upside. A guy who doesn't have the polished production you'd love to see, but who has physical tools that are genuinely rare, the kind of traits you simply cannot teach, the kind of measurables that make coaches believe they can mold something special. We're talking about a 6'6" edge rusher with length that jumps off the screen, athletic ability that shows up in flashes, and a frame that suggests he could add even more functional strength as he matures in an NFL program. This is a former transfer who never quite put it all together at the collegiate level, but the raw materials are absolutely there. And for a team like the Bears who have shown they can develop defensive talent, this is exactly the type of prospect that makes sense in the 6th round. His name is Patrick Payton, and he's coming out of LSU with a profile that screams developmental upside. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Why are we talking about a sixth-round pick? Why does this matter? And here's why it matters. Because championship rosters aren't just built with first-round studs. They're built with guys like Payton, who come in with minimal expectations, work their tails off in practice, contribute on special teams, and then 2 years down the line become legitimate rotational pieces who can spell your starters and provide quality snaps. Payton originally played at Florida State before transferring to LSU, and throughout his college career, the consistency just wasn't there. He'd flash one game and disappear the next. He'd show you the burst and bend to threaten the edge, then struggle with technique and refinement. But when you watch his tape, you see moments where everything aligns, where that length disrupts throwing lanes, where that athletic ability allows him to close on quarterbacks, and you understand why scouts are intrigued. At over 240 pounds with that kind of frame, Payton has room to add more mass without losing his mobility. In Chicago's defensive system, he could come in and learn from established veterans, spend time on the practice squad if needed, and gradually develop into a situational pass rusher who can provide value on third downs. And if the light clicks, if the technique catches up to the traits, you're talking about a potential steal in the late rounds. This is the kind of pick that doesn't make headlines on draft day but could pay massive dividends down the road. Think about some of the best edge rushers in the league who came from nowhere, who were developmental projects that teams believed in. That's the potential here. That's why Payton makes sense for what the Bears are building, and it's not just about Payton specifically. It's about the philosophy. Ryan Poles has shown he's willing to take swings on high-upside talent, guys who might not be ready to contribute immediately, but who have the physical profile to become impact players with proper coaching and development. That's how you sustain success in this league. You hit on your early picks, and you find gems in the later rounds who outperform their draft position. When I look at our pass rush rotation, I see room for another body, another developmental piece who can push the guys ahead of him and eventually carve out a role. Payton fits that description perfectly. He's not going to start as a rookie. He's not going to lead the team in sacks next season. But give him a year or two in our system. Let him learn from our coaching staff. Let him add strength and refine his technique. And there's a real chance he becomes a valuable contributor. The beauty of taking a guy like this in the 6th round is the risk-reward ratio. You're not investing significant draft capital. You're not expecting immediate returns. But if it works out, if Payton develops into even a solid rotational edge rusher, that's incredible value for a late-round selection. And if it doesn't work out, you move on without any major consequences. I also love what this says about our organizational confidence. We're not desperate for immediate help at every position. We're in a place where we can afford to take developmental swings, where we can be patient with prospects who need time to develop. That's the position you want to be in as a franchise. That's what separates contenders from rebuilding teams. So here's my analysis of where we stand. The Bears are heading into the 2026 draft with a clear strategy. Address premium positions early, add depth with purpose throughout the middle rounds, and take some calculated risks on high-upside talent late. Patrick Payton represents that final category perfectly, a traits-based gamble with legitimate upside if everything comes together. Now I want to hear from you, Bears Nation. What do you think about taking a developmental edge rusher like Patrick Payton in the late rounds? Do you trust our coaching staff to develop raw talent into impact players? Or would you rather see us use those late picks on guys who can contribute immediately? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I genuinely want to know how you feel about this approach. If you want to stay locked in on every Bears draft rumor, every scouting report, every strategic move this organization makes as we head toward April, make sure you're subscribed to Bears News Fan Report. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and smash that like button if you found this breakdown valuable. We're building something special here in Chicago, and I'm excited to break it all down with you. Bear down!